Hi Erin, how are you? I've tuned in to do your tarot reading today, and I hope that it finds you very well. I just want to give a little pre-spiel before I do the reading about how it's going to go. But basically I'm going to pull 3 classic tarot cards, 2 crystal cards, and another oracle deck card. And during the reading, we'll kind of give a spiel about each card and at some point blur into how they link together to create the divine message that's trying to come through. And yeah, I have taken some time setting up this space so that I can connect with your guides and mine, so the message that comes through is semi-channeled as well from those beautiful support sources. And so if you haven't had a tarot reading before, I just recommend just being open to receiving what's coming through, because even though tarot can be used as like a predictive tool, I kind of use it as like an intuitive tool to help the channeled message come through. And really what the cards are offering is like a touchstone for reference as you continue on your journey, kind of thing. So even though I'll be pulling 3 cards, which is sometimes like a past, present, future spread, it might just be like these are just all the aspects to consider with the thing that's on your mind at the moment. It might not necessarily be past, present, future, but because yeah, psychic energy and universal energy isn't always linear, but it is most certainly always encouraging and supportive to getting your mind in the kind of freer, more receiving state of for the gifts that are coming your way in my experience. So I just really encourage you to just trust that what's coming through in the reading is something that you're meant to hear, and that some of the things that are said may gain relevance over time, even if you don't connect to them in the moment. But whatever you do connect to know that that's not a coincidence that you're connecting to that sentiment or message. So without further ado, sending you lots of love and gratitude. Thank you for jumping on my tarot train. I really appreciate being able to read for people. So let's see what's going on. I'm already excited. I've drawn 1 card. Okay, if you can see those. And the crystal cards coming out too. These are a bit bigger and awkward to shuffle, so it might take me a little minute. I appreciate your patience, and yeah, just taking some deep breaths to get ready for the download. Okay. Alright, so I'll show you the spread that we got. The first card we drew is the Magician. The second card we drew was the Ace of Wands. And the third one we drew is the Page of Pentacles, accompanied by clear quartz and fluorite. So let's go into the tarot cards first. But the Magician is the number 1 card. It is in the major arcana. It just comes just after the Fool, which is the number 0. And the Magician is a really positive card because it indicates that it's got this kind of manifestation energy around it, because this magician is standing at a table with all these tools, and the tools that are on his table are all at his disposal, and there's lots of different types of them. And in the classic kind of original tarot deck, the things that are on the table in front of him are the rest of the suits from the tarot. So there's a pentacle, there's a wand, there's a sword, etc., etc. So the magician is this ultimate magical being, and he is in divine connection with the law of attraction and just the essence of manifestation and creating, materializing things out of nothing, if that makes sense. So he has this infinity symbol above his head, which is the same in the classic tarot, indicating that he has infinite resources, infinite power, and infinite transmutation of scenarios into something that is going to benefit his future. So that's one summary about him. The second card we got is the Ace of Wands, which is the wands are the suit of our kind of unconscious or subconscious desires and passions, and our creative spark. So the ace represents this new beginning with something of that nature. So you have these passion projects or new ways of thinking that are really tugging on you, almost feel like they're tugging on you from some unseen place that you want to bring forth into your life. You want to be like, no, I'm going to take you out of the invisible into the physical, and I want to hold you with pride. This kind of energy is coming from the Ace of Wands. And the Page of Pentacles is a beginner mindset kind of energy again, and the Pentacles are all about our material world and often to do with material wealth. So this could be indicating some kind of new business venture or new aspect of self that you're trying to materialize that involves a hands-on aspect. And it's kind of like this, the pages can also represent our kind of inner child as well. So it could be this kind of desire from childhood that's trying to like come forth, and you're really starting to play with an idea in the material world now with this Page of Pentacles. I'm distracted, my cat just came to the window, but I'm gonna see if she can tolerate not coming in while I do a summary on these cards together. So I don't know what it is that you're doing, but this energy is really bringing forth that you have a creative project in mind, or a something that you're trying to manifest and materialize that's linked to your passions and linked to your inner desires. So the Ace of Wands is one of my absolute favorite cards, because it's just like, this is my passion and I'm going to bring it forth, and it's going to be meaningful in my life, and it's going to be this, it's almost like this staff, like you can use it to walk forward on your path, and it's big fire energy and passion and creativity. Obviously all this orange energy, this fire, and this red. This is very grounding and in our power kind of color messages. And to have the Magician there with it is saying, whatever it is that you're trying to bring forth, you've got this kind of thing. You've got it. You've got the tools. The tools are laid out before you. You've got this connection to source. You've got this infinite portal of energy that you at your disposal that you can use to help you bring that forward. And the Page of Pentacles, bringing in the material wealth or material world side of things. Sometimes this beginner's mindset, this like fresh, this small fish in the big pond feeling, when we start to branch out into something new, it can be really scary. Like it can be really like, oh God, I'm just really not good enough at this. And we can use that kind of beginner's mindset to criticize ourselves and compare ourselves to other people in a way that's not productive, instead of coming at the beginner's mindset with curiosity and like infinite potential. Because if we're starting from number one, both of these number ones, if we're starting from that first step, we know that we've got so many more steps to go. We're just like, oh my God, can I even do this? And you know, whether you're experiencing doubt or not in regards to what you're trying to pursue, this is just a gentle reminder to say, just because you feel like a beginner doesn't mean that you're not meant to do what you're trying to cultivate right now. So the Page of Pentacles is this kind of cultivator. He comes at it with curiosity, and he's like, all right, how can I maneuver this into a more evolved state? So the court cards go from the page, the queen, the king, the knight. So the page is this, it's this youthful blend of masculine and feminine. So you have this potential, because it's this younger energy, to accidentally indulge in one more than the other. So the feminine might be getting caught up in the feeling it all and feeling the challenge and transmuting that into doubt. The young masculine energy might be like, just got to do it, and I just got to put my blinkers on, but not in the kind of trusting way, like in the way of like, well, just do the thing, and like, I hope this is making sense. I'm just really some of the stuff that comes through with these cards isn't that tangible, but there's something, whatever it is, if this page energy is you, or if it's someone else that's imposing like beginner's views on you, that could be contributing to your feelings of self-doubt or inadequacy. The message of the cards is that you've got these other two big energies saying, don't trust that. You've got this other guidance at your disposal. So this creative project, this passion that you're brewing that is bubbling to the surface, maybe it isn't even tangible to you yet. Maybe the tarot reading might start to tweak your awareness of it as it comes. There's something bubbling to the surface. There's something that is arising that is meant to be noticed by you. Some underlying passion, some underlying expression of your soul that wants to be made physical by the Pentacles. And the Magician is at your side, this archetype that you can embody yourself to say, yep, I can do this. I can alchemize the messages that I'm getting about this, and I can transmute my fears around it, and I can still put the things in place, and I can trust that by listening, stuff's going to unfold in a way that it's meant to. Wait, no. In a way that it's meant to, and in a way that's destined for me. So don't look away from your passions at the moment. There's something that may be wanting to come through. And so with these cards, in collaboration with the crystal cards I pulled clear quartz, which keyword is clarity, and fluorite, which keyword is self-discipline. So if you listen to my tarot read from last week, I pulled this crystal card last week too for the collective. So clear quartz is an ascension stone, and it amplifies where we're at. Like, it amplifies all energies around it. It can amplify the properties of other crystals it's worn with. It's just a straight up amplifier. You can't dull out what you're going through if you're collaborating with clear quartz. And it can be a good thing, it can also be a rough thing, because this amplifying of our, whether it be our emotions or the turbulence in our life, the positive things in our life, when it amplifies the turbulent parts, it gets us to our tipping point with those things quicker. So if we're feeling like mildly dissatisfied and not fulfilled by our work or our relationship or something, or just our own management of our own selves in the day-to-day, clear quartz is going to like ramp up that energy to a point where like, I can't anymore, I can't do this, and I can't sleep unless I do something about it. So that's kind of why it gives us this clarity, because it quickens us on our path, and it brings to service all the things that are asking to be healed for us to live our most authentic life. So even though the word clarity is this beautiful kind of peaceful word, it comes, doesn't come at a cost. It's clarity. Yeah, sometimes there's a rite of passage that you need to go through to get to the clarity you're asking for, and this is totally reinforced by the fact that this stone is associated with the storm element. So this storm is this like rattling up of all the energy and the kind of building of the humidity and the friction in the air, and then it releases, and the whole world the whole natural world is rejuvenated by it. And so we kind of need to have those storms emotionally and internally with ourselves sometimes to recognize what we don't want, but to also recognize what's important after everything crumbles. And this isn't saying that everything will crumble, but that's just something that's coming through. Sometimes the boat needs to be shook for us to recognize what are the elements that we want to keep, and what are the things that are definitely contributing to our lack of clarity at this time. And totally linking into this sense of movement and change and like stirring of the pot, the storm energy, we also have wind with this card. So wind is this air of change and this sense of movement and flow. So with the storm and the wind elements coming through in your reading, as well as these two cards, it's kind of saying that there's some kind of change afoot, there's some kind of reset button possibly brewing in some aspects of your life. But these cards are saying whatever that is, even if it's difficult, even if it's rough, you've got the omens of trust that it's fine. So you've got this number one card, this solid manifestor, magical being like, it's all good, like we've got this. And at the end of it, there's going to be this kind of stripping back and this root of passion that you will have the opportunity to bear witness to, that is going to have a meaningful place in your life, this Ace of Wands. And to retouch on the meaning of this fluorite and self-discipline, it could also be saying part of the pathway to clarity and part of the pathway to get in touch with this passion that your spirit is trying to manifest, whether you're aware of it or not at this time. Part of that journey is going to require a level of self-discipline. Now, self-discipline can be a triggering word for some people if they're, if we constantly feel, scarcity around our sense of time available to us, and if we're working in a full-time environment, that it's not very conducive to feeling like we have the luxury to include lots of extra things into our life. But the art of self-discipline, and I like to call it self-devotion, because I wouldn't call myself a disciplined person by any means, but I am devoted to the things that are important to me. So devoted that I'll do what it takes to allow them to unfold. So whatever resonates with you, self-discipline or self-devotion, requires putting regular steps in place so that you can access that spaciousness. If it is, if you are feeling scarce with time, if you are feeling like self-discipline is something you struggle with, one of the biggest things to know is that when we execute this self-devotion and these micro moments of devotion to things that see change in our future, we feel like we have more time. Like incrementally we create a spaciousness in our life, and not only on a practical level but on an internal emotional level, because when we align our actions with the things that we are devoted to, or what the things that we want for ourselves, whether it be health related, whether it be to do with our creativity, whether it be with our organization, if we devote these little slices of time to just do small amounts that contribute to the well-being of our future self, emotionally we feel like we're in integrity with who we want to be. And something that keeps us in a scarcity mindset is when we don't do those things and we, low-key feel like we're a failure all the time because we identify as this person, but we can see we're not doing the things that that person would do. And for example, I feel like there was a really long period of time there where I was like, oh yeah, I meditate, and I just wasn't even doing it on a weekly basis, but I still identified as someone who was into that practice and practicing it regularly. And it wasn't until COVID happened and I decided that I wanted to keep facilitating meditations, because I used to facilitate years ago with a small group of friends, but they live too far away now. It wasn't until I was like, COVID happened and I had that time to go, all right, well, I can't go out and go to market festivals and like go to the birthday parties like every third weekend or whatever. That was all on hold, and it was like, who are you now? Like, when you're not that busy, who are you now? And it's like, oh, well, I'm this person, but then I realized I had no tangible proof of that person because I wasn't actually putting the values of that person into active practice because I was so busy all the time. So now I don't think I could revert. Like, even when stuff starts to pick up again, I know that I'm going to be meditating on a more than weekly basis. It's just having the freedom of time that COVID gave me to implement that practice so regularly. I couldn't go back on it now because I can see how much it influences and nourishes my life. So whether your level of self-discipline is around something like that, like a self-care practice, like meditation, whether it's health related, like yoga, this is a call in to say to show up for whatever those elements are. And it doesn't mean that you need to jump in and do like 2 hours a week or something, but even if you did 10 minutes 3 times a week of some aspect that you're trying to nurture, if it's linked to that passion, chipping away. Chipping away things doesn't get enough credit. Like, we want, in the world that we live in, we want that quick validation. We want to feel proud of ourselves, like in the moment. We want to feel a sense of achievement, like we give ourselves the energetic sticker like a teacher used to do when we did well. But the long-standing, slow-built, slow and steady wins the race kind of change is the change that's going to hang around. So this is where self-discipline is such a beautiful, underrated gem. In that self-discipline can be this tiny thing. It can be 3 minutes a day. It can be 1 minute a day. And if we give that, that tiny slice, that 3 minutes a day, and we do that over like, 3 weeks or something, what is that? 3 times 7 is 21. 21 times 3 is 63. That's 63 minutes of doing that thing. So it's this kind of incremental self-discipline that we can work towards if we absolutely feel like we have no capacity in terms of time to do it in bigger chunks. And when we chip away at things, we feel like we have more time, not only psychologically but emotionally, because we are in integrity with our true character, because we're nurturing the things that true character would get up to on the day-to-day basis. So what I described on the weekly reading was that this gem is on the horizon between the sky and the ocean. So the sky kind of represents our connection to the divine and our bigger self, like our open, free-form soul self. And the ocean, it often represents our kind of emotional landscape or our subconscious emotions. And this gem is sitting between the two. So it's got the best of both worlds in that it is inspired by our emotions, but it is not enveloped by them. It is sitting above. It's still in touch with them, it still knows what's going on, but it is very much leaning towards this infinite self, this infinite self and this infinite guidance and this infinite trust that we can have in the universe. And so by nurturing this self-discipline, and it becomes this kind of gem where we validate our own character by being who we want to be, even if it's in a tiniest way, and that rises us out of our our rough emotions towards ourselves, or our negative self-talk because we're not doing enough. It pulls us out of that and pulls us closer to universal trust and our inner guidance system, infinite. So one of the tools that you're being called to utilize is your self-discipline, and in that self-discipline or self-devotion, I like to call it, my other friend calls it divine discipline. in those aspects, we can accumulate a sense of clarity because we're not bogged down with this kind of lack of trust and the emotional kind of repercussions of being out of integrity with ourselves and our passions. So one more card is the Power of Attraction we got, and it's the number 13, and this card is bloody beautiful. And yeah, it's kind of like the people in the image are the same person. You can't really see the details as much, but they're the same person, but one's older. So, and this one has dragonflies in her hair, and this one has bees. So the older one has bees, the younger one has dragonflies. So I want to just break down some of this card and link it to the cards that we have. So first of all, the Power of Attraction, great omen for that what you're cultivating is going to bear fruit. And I feel like it's also, I haven't even actually noticed those insects on the hair until this time of looking at this card, but I know that dragonflies are like this symbol of like kind of being in the moment and appreciating life as it comes, and like bees associated with honey, so it's almost like, that's why I say it's going to bear fruit, like you're going to get the honey of your imagination, like what you're cultivating is going to bear honey, bear fruit. And but it requires a level of appreciating life as it is and being in the moment, and trusting where you're at and trusting what's going to unfold, because this kind of, if we operate from a place of trust in the present moment, we create an energetic frequency that allows what we want to come forth. If we are constantly emanating an energy of doubt or like fear or uncertainty, then we're not kind of giving a clear enough signal to invite what we want to come forth. It's almost like we're not ready for it, and we perpetuate the possibility that it won't emerge. So with these cards, and the fact that this beautiful youthful human is looking at their beautiful older self, it's almost like trust this communion that you have with your soul. So the communion you have with your soul is what it might be through meditation and actively talking to your guides, as I hope that most people are leaning towards doing more and more. Or it could be, but if that's not present yet, it's that organic desire and inspiration that we feel that we don't really have any explanation for, like, oh, me and my sisters are all musicians, but neither of my parents played music at all. You know, this is kind of just like a desire. It didn't come from them. It didn't come from anywhere. And you know, none of them are into mystical shit either. Like, none of my siblings either. So that it's just like, okay, I can't deny how much I love this now and how much I feel connected and drawn to engage with it. And in that moment, I understand that it's part of my soul's voice that wants to be expressed. So, in trusting our soul self, even if we don't feel like we're in touch with them, often in a tangible, communicative way, the soul communicates with us in abstract ways all the time, and inspiration is one of those ways. So whatever we have these nigglings to do, or this curiosity of like, oh, maybe I could XYZ, this is our soul being like, yes, like, break out of the programming, break out of the matrix of your own past self that was informed by too many other aspects that weren't your genuine soul. So, and that's not to like devalue anything that you've ever been through or anything you've been interested in. Like, I was genuinely interested in being a teacher at some point, later to realize that was mainly, you know, linked to my parents being teachers and linked to my love of my teachers, and I was influenced by these dynamics. It was like, yeah, I want that, but then once I was there, I was like, this isn't me, like, this is a different person. So, but I value that I went through that, and I had to go through it to come out the other side and be like, that's what I didn't want. And the storm of getting out of that career was a rough one. Let me just say, emotional upheaval 9,000 with that. So yeah, you're being encouraged to communicate, or at least listen to your soul's voice in the way that it's presenting, which is in some form of inspiration or natural curiosity that can't be really tied down to something else. And in that exploration, your guides are saying that you have all the tools to get through and manifest that reality. And part of the toolkit you have is to trust the soul's voice, and to also enjoy the part of the journey that you're on. So trust in the present moment, and connect with the present moment, and not to indulge frustrations of where you aren't yet. And the tools that you need will continue to reveal themselves to you, especially if you implement some kind of self-discipline, self-devotion that allows you to feel more spacious. When we feel more spacious psychologically and emotionally, our soul's voice becomes louder. That's just the natural way of things. And so nurturing a bit of that so that these tools can present themselves, and not being afraid of the beginner's mindset, and knowing that that trust and allegiance to your inner voice, that integrity that you cultivate with your inner voice, is going to lead to some material gain, material benefit, whether it be wealth or even emotional wealth. But when we feel emotionally wealthy, we also attract abundance. That's just how it tends to unfold at times. So yeah, just having trust in that your soul's voice knows what's best for little old you, and yeah, don't be afraid to be a beginner. Don't be afraid to be a small fish in a big pond again, because these are the enriching challenges that life can really be. These enriching challenges are like these platforms that we can really appreciate life from, because it's like a healthy amount of stress and challenge, and that rewarding that reward that comes from overcoming those fears, that implementation of that courage to commit and to move through, and be young again, be the young one in the bigger in the well of people that are more experienced in that field. You just have so much to learn. Like, you just have there's so much potential at your feet in that situation. But when you're the big fish in the small pond, it's a one-way ticket to stagnancy, and a one-way ticket to questioning yeah, the value of your life, because you aren't stimulated, you aren't challenged, and you aren't you know, the status quo will eventually can eventually grate on us, and we need to create our own status quo with the stuff that we're organically inspired about. So I hope that reading was resonant with you. I'll be sending you this shortly, and I really welcome you to, after you've had some time to kind of digest it and whatnot, you're very welcome to give me some feedback if you want to talk to me about how it resonated or anything like that. And yeah, I just want to say such big love to you, and I hope that this passion, this driving like spark of desire makes itself known to you soon, even if it isn't there yet. A really great message to come home out of the last stint of 2020 with. So don't give up on your dreams just because it's a busy Christmas season. That's another message I have to say. And yeah, trusting your soul pulling you forward. Yeah, that's one of the big messages too. You've got honey waiting for you if you do. So yeah, thanks so much, Eryn, for listening to my reading, and I hope that you have a lovely week, and sending you so much love and gratitude for tuning in to my tarot train. Lots of love.